Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the Wrestling Classic. Justin here, back for the TWC Show, live on Ruckus Avenue Radio, wherever you listen to Radio, Ruckus Avenue Radio, the Wrestling Classic. Guys, we have a lot to talk about, and I got the women of women's wrestling talk with me today. We got Nikki, Bushi, Santana, and Meka. How are you guys all doing today? We got lots to talk about. A lot of women's wrestling stuff to talk about.
I feel great, honestly. It's a Sunday. We're pretty chill and everything like that. There's a lot that has happened with women's wrestling. A lot.
Did yesterday not feel like Sunday? Or is it just me?
No, it
definitely
felt
like
Sunday. It did.
I don't know.
Is it because there was a pay-per-view yesterday, you think? Or what do they call them now? Premium
live
event or premium live content?
I think, yeah.
I'm very I felt like today was Monday. I felt like yesterday was Sunday. We're going to talk about day one. We're going to talk about WWE. There's a lot of things to predict. We're pretty much on the road to WrestleMania now that it's January. I know I said it last week, but really quickly, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everyone had a good holiday and a Happy New Year. And it's 2022. And this is the first TWC show of 2022. That being said, really quickly, I want to thank all three of you because when Daniel went to Texas in September and decided to bail on the show, the three of you, among others,
don't
really
throw him under the bus like
Please
that.
don't do Daniel like that.
What do you mean?
Daniel like that. Daniel, if you're listening, we love you, buddy.
We love you, Daniel. Daniel, ever wanted you,
I
Daniel. He's like my little brother.
Daniel, but don't be
He's like my little brother. I will do him dirty if I want to.
Well, we're gonna do him clean over here. I don't know. Leave that man alone. He didn't do nothing wrong to you.
He bailed on the show to go to Texas.
His dream, Justin.
And you all stepped up, and I appreciate it. And yeah, I do want to talk about WWE, but there's a few things I want to talk about when it comes to AEW. It wasn't a very stellar week for AEW, but some really cool stuff did still happen. They always give us some cool stuff every week. And a lot of women's wrestling stuff, surprisingly, for AEW this past week. Before we get to the women's wrestling stuff, though, I want to talk about the one really cool thing that happened with the men. And don't get me wrong, guys, there was a lot of good, like, 6-man tag matches and stuff. They actually were good for the men. But just because that was the case, there wasn't, like, really anything crazy that happened within them. We get Malachi and Flying Brian next week. Brian Pillman cut a solid promo. And the biggest thing that, in my opinion, was the Undisputed Era reuniting on the last show of 2021 of Dynamite in AEW. And I find it so ironic that when AEW started and Dynamite started, it was WWE counter-programming AEW with NXT, and one of the hottest acts at NXT at that point was the Undisputed Era. And now they're in AEW. Meka, let's start with you. How'd you feel about the return of the Undisputed Era?
It was cool. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. You know, a lot of people have been predicting it from the beginning. So, you know, people were counting down the days until he was coming, and he showed up, and it made people happy. So, hey.
Nikki, you're like a big advocate of the black and gold brand. So I have to ask you this. Were you happy that they didn't just forget about the Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole beef and they actually played into it with that backstage segment and in the main event? Because last week when Kyle O'Reilly showed up, a lot of people online were being like, "Oh, weren't these guys just trying to kill each other like 4 or 5 months ago?" But they addressed it this week, and they had them have that tension and that conversation backstage, and they had them even have that tension within the match where Kyle was trying to give the super kick to Orange Cassidy. He moved out of the way, then he kicked Adam Cole, and then Adam Cole was kind of being a baby outside, like, what the fuck just happened? Are you happy that they continued that?
I'm ecstatic, and I'll say this with no regards. I feel like they had no choice. You're bringing one of the most dominating factions we've had in the last 5 years, if we want to be honest. And I feel like they played it well. To see the Young Bucks have to be dismissed, and then to see Bobby even be dismissed, and then they have their moment. Adam Cole and Kyle, they really needed that. And the match was stellar. I just think the backstage was much better because it creates the story even better. And he says it. We're in AEW now, you know. And so I'm very, very interested if they are going to stick like glue, or are they just going to, you know, revisit their rivalry. And I was ecstatic though.
Santana, being the Adam Cole of our Undisputed Era, I'm going to throw this question at you now. Okay.
I'm glad you let it be known.
I'm the Kyle O'Reilly, and
And I'm
fish. But
y'all know who I am.
That being said, I've said since Adam Cole's been in AEW, as much as obviously I was happy that he's back with the Young Bucks, I remember them being a group, the Super Click on the Independents. It kind of made Adam Cole feel not as important when he's with the Young Bucks. It's a little bit more silly. It's a little bit more fun. Like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, and Adam Cole all came in together, and the other two are being very big players in the thing, where Adam Cole kind of fell to the background, just hanging out with the Young Bucks and having fun. Not that he hasn't done fun and crazy stuff, but just when he's with the Young Bucks, it seems more like silliness and goofiness and very serious. Him being with the Undisputed Era guys again already made him feel like the man. They follow him. They walk out with him. They know who is the indirect leader of that group. They know their stick. They know it's Red Dragon and Adam Cole. That all being said, do you want to see Adam Cole eventually stick with Kyle and Red Dragon, or do you think he sticks with the Young Bucks?
That's the question you asked me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a damn about those Young Bucks. Put him with where he belongs. Okay, get out of here. I don't care about no Young Bucks. Okay, Adam Cole is so out of place with them. Like seeing Adam Cole in the Indies wise, yeah, okay, cool. He was in a different era of Adam Cole. But when Adam Cole came to the Black and Gold brand and had Kyle and Bobby Fish with him, it was different. And to see that again, the same way when they debuted in NXT together at one time versus to how they, all three of them were standing in the ring last week. I mean, it's significance to that. And I honestly can't wait to see this custody battle of Adam Cole between these two and whatnot. I'm here for it. I was happy to see Kyle. I mean, we pretty much kind of already knew that he was going to be going to AEW. Like, it's no secret, because those three really pretty much are the foundation of the Undisputed Era. So, I mean, I'm here for it. It is what it is. So, kick the Young Bucks to the side, okay?
No, I'm with you with that. Kick the Young Bucks to the side. And I think it is going to be a slow build. I think we're going to wait till Kenny comes back in like 4 to 5 months, and it's going to be Kenny and the Young Bucks versus the UE. But I'm happy it's going to be a slow build. Malachi said something in a live stream he did recently that really resonated with me. He's like, wrestling fans always want instant gratification. We talk about that a lot in here too. But he's like, I'm not a Netflix series that you can binge and just watch all at once on Netflix. I'm that show that you have to watch week to week. And I feel like that's what they got to do with this rivalry too, is it needs to build week to week slowly. And I know that might piss off fans, but it's going to have a great payoff when they finally get to it. We might have like a stadium stampede between those two teams or something. Who knows? Some sort of cool match. Maybe they'll get in blood and guts, but I'm looking forward to it. Next thing I want to quickly touch on is CM Punk coming out there totally disregarding MJF and just saying that he's bigger than MJF and he's just going to focus on winning the world title, and comparing MJF to the Jaguars and all that stuff. And every time we get a glimpse of heel CM Punk, I get happy, because you can tell he both Bryan and Punk feel like they thrive on getting booed. Like they enjoy it. Like they get this smirk on their face, and that's what they would rather be doing. But they know they came in with so much hype that they had to be baby faces at the beginning. But I'm telling you, I've been saying it for weeks, that it's been really hard to have anything that Punk's doing be really invested in, because it hasn't lasted long. But I think when he eventually turns heel, it's going to be great, because right now Bryan's the heel and I'm loving it. And I'm looking forward to Bryan and Hangman again next week, and hopefully it doesn't go a full hour, Nikki, and hopefully
whoa,
listen, they'll have to deal with that. Look, I was pleased after the limited of matches that we had this week. I do think that I think they're going to continue that, though, to be honest.
And before we went on the air, you brought up Jericho coming back, and I kind of went, because I don't really care. I don't care about this whole Jericho, Eddie Kingston 2.0. Unless I'm a Jericho fan, but I didn't oh my God, Jericho's back. And if I'm going to be completely honest, and I've said this a lot in the last couple of weeks, and this is no disrespect to Chris Jericho. I've been a fan for so long. He came into AEW. He was the mainstream guy. He helped carry this company at the beginning, along with Moxley and the other guys that came through. But I think, like, and I'm gonna say, and I've said it a million times, I think we need a break from Chris Jericho. Like, we just need like a solid break from him. We have Brian Cole and Punk there. Moxley's, doing his thing with rehab, so we're getting a break from him. But I just think we need a break from Chris Jericho. I don't feel like we've gotten a proper one. He's always just here, and he kind of feels irrelevant right now. Am I wrong?
No, I don't know. Are you? I mean, I like the return. I think if you're building a company in this magnitude, I mean, you're gonna have to thrive off your demographic. I think that overall people were happy. Maybe people do feel the same. I don't think you're wrong. I think it's kind of half and half. It wasn't that exciting, but it definitely
felt very WWE to me. Where things happen and it don't excite me. And
we'll get into and I think his back and forth with Eddie was more like, like Eddie asking him, what's he doing here? He don't need his help. These are his friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was, I mean, maybe no one wants to see a match between Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. However, I thought it was entertaining. That's your favorite thing, Justin. You want to be entertained, right?
I do. But talking about catering to your demographic, we had the Brandi Rhodes moment. We had Dan Lambert coming out there. And we had him cutting his regular Jim Cornette promo. And I do appreciate Dan Lambert saying, I prefer Jim Cornette when Brandi Rhodes compared him to Paul Heyman, because realistically, AEW didn't want to hire Jim Cornette, so they just had someone play Jim Cornette, and that was Dan Lambert. So paying homage to the guy that you're basically ripping off was very kind of Dan Lambert. But instead of Cody coming out and confronting Dan Lambert, because obviously the feud was surrounding Cody facing against Ethan Page on Rampage, which was a decent match, the following Friday, they had Brandi come out instead to defend her husband's honor. And, Meka, how'd you feel about it?
You don't want to know how I feel.
I do.
You don't.
The people want to know.
I'm really tired of performative blackness on AEW. And I'll say that. And I don't care who doesn't agree or who it pisses off. From a real Black woman that grew up Black and that doesn't have any identity crisis, it's forced. It's tired. She's tired. The wrestling skills aren't any better. Just stop. Stop forcing Brandi Rhodes on us. I'm over it, honestly. And that's the nice way that I'm going to say this, because it's going to be all over a lot of different, pieces of media. So I will leave it at that.
And for those that didn't watch, there was that whole line where she said, you might be a black belt, but I'm a black bitch. And they got a pop from a very not Black crowd.
Obviously, they're going to eat that shit up. Hello? They're going to eat. They want to see, they think that that's a stereotype of how Black women view themselves. It's not. And she's not the spokesperson for Black women or Black people at all whatsoever. So, of course, the white counterparts are going to hype that shit up because that's how they view us anyway. So why not hype this shit up? They really think she ate. No, that I was choking out there for her because it was like, first of all, you already recycled a promo that you said once before. Like, how many open mic nights we gonna get? How many we gonna get? It's pointless for her to just even be out there, and of course that is their demographic. They enjoy when a Black woman refers herself to a bitch or anything like that, especially with Brandi Rhodes and whatnot. And I just feel like I am not a fan of her. She does not speak for Black people at all whatsoever, especially women. Trust me.
And honestly, that entire segment seemed
it was trash. It was forced.
Unnecessary. I always say that Cody Rhodes really jumped the shark when he was feuding Anthony Ogogo and made the whole promo that he made that time. And it's like they learned nothing from it. They just continue going back to that well. And it's like, that's literally when people started booing Cody. Like, that's when he became Homelander. That being said, we might as well touch on it really quickly because it did happen this week.
Can I speak on the Brandi thing real quick?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say this. The saddest part about it is that she feeds into it and that she allows it to happen. And that's what's disturbing for me the most. But we can move on.
Well, it's because like when she did that whole thing with Jade way back when, and that was like really talked about because everyone was like, where did this Brandi come from? I think she thought because of that, like this is what she's supposed to do and people will love it. I don't think she realized that people were talking about that for all the wrong reasons the first time around. I think she thought that people were talking about it because they thought it was cool of her, but I think really people were talking about it because we're like, where the fuck did that come? Because the first time around it was funny because it was like, where the fuck did that come from? Why is she acting like this? Now it's like now you're forcing it and you're trying to do because you think this is what you're supposed to do. And I think that's the flaw with it. Big Swole came out and said a bunch of stuff this week about the diversity in AEW, the culture backstage at AEW, really speaking her truth, being really honest of her experience in that company. Really, if you read it or even took the time to actually go listen to it, she really was trying to not trash the company or say it in a negative way. She was actually trying to put them over, but just saying like, you know, it's a hard place to work. This was my experience. This is how I feel. And instead of Tony probably doing the smart business thing, doing just not addressing it, or if you are going to address it, address in a way being like, we hear you and we're going to try to make a difference. He addressed it in a very petty, immature, weird way where it seemed like he was trying to like prove a point, got really defensive, and Twitter blew up. I didn't spend too much time in Tony's comment section seeing the responses. Like I said, I was really busy that day. I think I talked to Nikki and someone else was in the room at the time when we talked about the next day because I never got to be in the room with you guys on Clubhouse when you guys were actually talking about it when it was happening. But my thought process was just like, I think Big Swole had every right to say what she said and how she felt. And I think there is truth to what she's saying. But I also think that Tony Khan needs a PR person because from a business standpoint, you would never see Vince McMahon come out there in that type of way to argue against it and get defensive. And on the flip side, you also would never see him getting wrestlers to defend him on Twitter and back him up, making them, because like realistically, imagine you like something like this happened in WWE, and like I'm not comparing it exact shit because it's two totally different things. But when the whole Give Divas a Chance thing happened, Vince came out and said, "We hear you, keep watching," addressed it, but you didn't have like. Imagine back then you had like John Cena and Randy Orton guys all go taking to Twitter to defend Vince McMahon. Like that would never happen. That's not like it comes off all very like petty and forced and fabricated, and like everyone is like, because everybody wants to get paid, everybody doesn't want to lose their job, they want to keep working. Some of these people on some of the most lucrative contracts of their life. There's a lot of wrestlers that came straight from the independents getting paid anywhere from 30 to like maybe $200 a night to now probably getting paid a salary that aren't gonna be like, yeah, fuck Tony Khan, fuck this company, because they want to continue getting paid. They got houses, they got mortgages, they got kids, they got stuff. So you know, like they're going to come out there and they're going to defend him. But the whole situation kind of made AEW look bad to a certain extent in my eyes. How do you guys feel about it? Any one of you can take it first, whoever wants to go.
Tony Khan is sensitive as fuck. He's fucking sensitive. He doesn't know how to take constructive criticism at all whatsoever. There have been plenty of times where people have called him out on shit and he fucking blows up in the air. And then all the people who support AEW are right up his ass. I can understand if you work with this company and whatnot. Yes, okay, it's a tough situation where you want to support the person who is telling their truth or living in their truth or sharing their experience. But you don't have to comment, you don't have to tweet out anything to try to support your boss because to make it seem like AEW is this great place. Is a lot of those people who's been up AEW as those fans and whatnot, they were the same ones in the comment section had thrown in their own opinions and thrashing AEW. They're the same ones, but at the end of the day, they're gonna be the same ones who's still gonna go watch AEW, gonna go out there live, and they're gonna forget this whole situation that happened with Big Swole, and then it is what it is. You know, I do applaud Lio Rush for speaking out. You know what I'm saying? Even though he backtracked what he stated, you know what I'm saying? He did, you know, but I still applaud him because he was the one who did speak out about it. Yeah. He was. Nobody else really was like gunning for Tony Khan's head like Lio Rush. Unless you had like some other people on the fans wise who weren't a fan of it.
I mean, no one was gunning for Tony Khan's head that worked for that company like Leo Rush, because there was people that don't officially work for that company that were gunning for Tony. We saw the stuff from Darius, we saw the stuff from other superstars that are working the independents and whatnot, that were being like, no, like we've worked dark, we've been there, we've given him, how we've told him how we felt in the past, we've done this and that, and like we don't really see anything changing. But for the people that work in that company, Leo's the only one that was like, no, what the fuck? Let her say what she wants to say. She has the right to say that.
And to Leo's defense, I don't feel like he backtracked as much as he went straight to the source. Yeah. A lot of people talked around it, and he went to Tony Khan. Now, whatever conversation they had, he felt satisfied with, which is his prerogative as an individual superstar to feel, and he made a statement after, which, it happens, but I just feel like there's a lot of people who were not qualified to speak on what Big Swole was talking about that felt that their voices need to be heard. And there needs to come a time where people learn where to sit one out. And I'm not going to call anybody out by name because there's no need.
They know who they are.
They know who they are. There were a lot of loud and wrong voices who cannot speak for the experience of a Black woman, period, in any way, shape, or form. So Big Swole did not say anything disrespectful. She actually wished AEW the best on their future endeavors and, everything that they're getting into. She was very polite. She even complimented Tony Khan and how generous he is in the same interview. So for me, it just seemed very defensive and very childish of Tony Khan to come out that way. And it definitely put a bad taste in my mouth as far as how quickly people will flip on you when they feel like your feelings have changed for them.
But what I can say is that I don't really think Tony Khan even went to listen to that interview at all whatsoever. I think he read a piece of what the article was put out, read it and took it, and this is what he thought or how he interpreted. And this is my issue when it comes to certain publications. When they post certain type of crazy headlines and only quote certain things because they know it's going to get a buzz, and then they get a reaction out of it, and then they start looking stupid because now people are coming for you because there could have been a way that you could have included the part where Swole did say generous things about Tony Khan. Instead, it turned out really, really messy.
Yeah, I think the comment could have never been said. I'm not going to play devil's advocate, but I will say this. What I didn't like about it was the whole cancel culture getting involved. People retweeting what Tony Khan said. Now we can't support them. That's what really got on my nerves about it. Now, as far as people making statements and bringing race involved and stuff like that, I didn't agree with that. However, the way that people were attacking other people for retweeting what he said and this, that, and the third, and it was just people were picking and choosing their battles. And that's what was very, it did shake up Twitter, and it was very aggravating at times because it was developing and people didn't even have all of the information. And that's why sometimes before you speak in Leo's kind of, for example, it's good for us to have all the facts before we make a judgment. And I've always said this through the whole thing. It only happened a couple of days ago. Jade had the best response because that's how I would be. And I'm not going to lie. People can be self-centered, and I can be one of those people. She made it about her. And she tagged Tony Khan and she tagged AEW and she made it about her. And to me, that was like, when I saw that, I was like, you know what? That's how you take something and you make it profitable for yourself.
On a lighter note, we're going to switch gears here. Mercedes Martinez made her debut this week. It was Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa. It was Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa, speaking of Jade, for the TBS title semifinals. I know Nikki really thought Thunder was going to win, but I just felt like I still feel that Jade's going to be the first TBS champion. I just think that's where they're going with this because they fear putting Jade against Britt. They don't want to do that for some reason. I understand there's money in that match, but Britt's one of the biggest stars they have right now, and people love Jade. And there is, like, if you put them against each other, you're going to divide the fan base. So they fear putting those two against each other. So I really do think Jade's going to be the first TBS champion. She did beat Thunder Rosa, but with the help of Mercedes Martinez. So whoever wants to go first, how do you guys feel about that?
So I'm just going to speak, and then I'm going to turn it over to my tag partner, Santana. Not only did Mercedes Martinez make her presence known in AEW, she also returned to the Impact Zone to call out none other than Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuoso.
Oh, wow.
So Mercedes Martinez has had a week. And what was very interesting is on AEW, Mercedes Martinez said nothing and her presence was felt. And on Impact, she didn't even go into the ring and she had a message and her presence was felt. And so I think it's very interesting to see, because I said it, I thought it was like Britt or Jamie Hayter or, to see Jade and Mercedes Martinez together in the ring though. And this is where I'm going to pass it over to my partner. But to see that, I just wanted to be known that Mercedes did pop up 2 times this week. So
yeah, Mercedes Martinez definitely had a huge week, you know what I'm saying, from AEW wise. And it was just like, I really wasn't expecting that to be her. I thought, I really thought that maybe you and Justin were right. Like, okay, so it was Britt or Daniel. It could have been Jamie, you know what I'm saying? But when I saw like Mercedes take like the whole, I was like, okay, yeah, Mercedes Martinez and working with Jade, I would have never imagined that to happen. But then again, I'm always kind of here when Jade, she turns on Thunder Rosa, and whatnot. I mean, they've had matches together on the indies and whatnot, and other different promotions and stuff like that. And she loves working with Thunder. Same with Deonna. Those are girls that she's wrestled with plenty of times on the indies. They just had a match, a triple threat match not too long ago. She talked about in an interview that we had did for Women's Wrestling Talk, how, she loves working with them. She loves working with them. They're both amazing competitors and whatnot. So I'm ready to see what AEW has in store for Mercedes Martinez. Could she, she did this favor for Jade. And if Jade wins, could Mercedes Martinez, hold that, be Jade's first opponent? Or maybe she'll go out the Britt. Who knows if they'll put Mercedes in that big shot spot right there with Britt Baker. You know what I'm saying? Because Mercedes, she can wrestle and she can cut a promo. So I'm very excited to see what happens in both places with Deonna and Mercedes and so on and so forth. Make her a double champion. Hell, I don't care.
I actually like the idea of Mercedes and Thunder having their own feud outside of everything else. That would be a banger. And it would give Thunder something else to do while Jade and Britt are doing other things. It would just give the women's division more diversity, more angles, more things for us to look at. We've been begging for this. And I think Mercedes is the perfect person to bring it. I love that she's here. Yeah, that's all I got. I want to see her and Thunder really have a banger of a match because I think it would be really good.
We never seen that feud on TV before, so I think it's gonna make it even much better.
Oh, they feuded in the past? They've had a feud.
They fought a lot on the indies. Like they fought a lot on the indies, but it's actually having a televised feud. It's never been seen before.
Okay.
Before we move on, I just want to say, don't forget that Deonna and Mercedes will meet yet again in the Impact Zone this Thursday. She did call her out, and she is getting her match with Deonna. As much as I would love to see her tussle with Thunder in the ring. The virtuoso is the moment right now. So who do you call out when you come back to the Impact Zone? So I'm excited for that.
Speaking about Impact, congratulations to Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona, who just got married this past New Year's Eve. Beautiful wedding, beautiful pictures. Cool to see all the wrestlers hanging out and having a good time for a positive reason. It's always cool to see that little clique, the other little clique, get back together of Ziggler and Morrison and Miz and Cody and
They look so nice.
Myers. That's a little friendship. That was a little group since they were in the WWE. That was a group of friends. And obviously the Impact girls getting back together, and the Indie girls, the Chelseas and the Brits and the Deannas and everyone. But congratulations to them, sending them nothing but love, even though, me and Matt have had our beef. Jokes. But moving forward, really quickly, last AEW thing, because we do have to talk about WWE, and I feel like we all have a lot to talk about when it comes to WWE. Guys, if this goes long, the extended version will be off of Ruckus Avenue Radio, wherever you listen to this podcast, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But the first hour will definitely be on Ruckus Avenue Radio. Guys, they've been feuding for like a year. I didn't fully get to watch a match, but I did watch the highlights. I don't think there's really a lot to say about it, but if this is the blow off to the feud, it was really cool to see the tag street fight between Anna Jay and Tay Conti against Penelope and Ali. They went all out, kind of paid homage to the Lights Out match earlier this year, which was one of the most talked about matches. They went all out just like that Lights Out match. And because they've been feuding all year, it almost made it feel appropriate. If they didn't feud all year and it didn't seem like these four women were entangled with each other all year, I'd be like, why are they even doing this just to get a pop? But it made sense because they technically have, like, for at least 6-7 months, it's been a mixture of Penelope, Ali, Anna, and Tay outside of that brief period where Tay got a title shot and then she came right back to it. So I liked it, and it was cool. And it was cool to see the women get the opportunity to show up like the guys can show up sometimes in these hardcore matches and stuff. I'm not a big fan of seeing the women bleed, but it is what it is. If the men bleed, so can the women. It shows and it adds to the match. It made it seem more aggressive. And that's what's missing in WWE sometimes, since they don't allow blood anymore, is that sometimes you'll have like a hardcore match. You're like, you would think someone would be bleeding right now, and it made sense for them to bleed in this stuff. And the only thing I would recommend is if they're going to continue letting women do matches like table matches and street fights and Lights Out and stuff, maybe you just like find some more gimmick tables that will break easier for lighter people, because these tables never break for the women. We've seen it in the WWE too. Charlotte, Sasha, Hell in a Cell. These tables don't break for the women all the time. Find some tables that are dummy to break for the women more. That's it.
I just want to say this.
Yeah.
Shout out to the DMD for setting the standard. But shout out to these four women, honestly, because this match, I went back and I watched this match, and honestly, it was really good. From the moment that Ali, the bunny, y'all know I'm obsessed with her. I love her. The way she comes to the ring and she throws the chair in the ring, it's hilarious. From the beer bottles to even Ford not connecting and breaking the chair. I mean the table. It still was a moment, and I feel like overall it was a good match. I
always say when a table doesn't break though, it does look like it hurts more. But go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, Conti looked like she took a serious
the moonsault knee drop.
Yeah. Like it was tough, but overall, like I went and I rewatched the match, and unfortunately, all this was going on and everything was going on Twitter. And I think a lot of people were more focused on what was going on Twitter. So I wanted to at least give them the decency of going back and watching the match, because I do feel like overall, from the start to finish, this was very intensive in the way that they're kind of moving forward in a sense. And the way Conti looks into the camera, it is very Britt Baker. So hopefully they are paying homage. If not, you got to bite off the dentist sometimes. So,
well, and also, like I said, like these girls aren't Britt Baker. They're not up there with Jade guys and stuff. But I've been a fan of saying that at least they've kept these four girls relevant this entire time. If the reason why I say sometimes it feels like the women's division has progress compared to where it was at the beginning of the year is because they've been featuring more girls when they can, and they have featured these four girls having their minor feud while the championship feud. Honestly, these girls have had a more consistent feud than Britt's had a feud all year. So, like, that being said, like, I'm glad they got this. And that's not Britt's fault. That's the booking's fault that they haven't given her someone that she's really been feuding with throughout the entire year. It just seems like she's had mini feuds and quick matches at pay-per-views that just move forward. Let's move on to things being booked funny, and let's talk about day one now. The Beast got put in the Fatal 5-way match, or Fatal 4-way match, making it a Fatal 5-way. And on my screen right now, he just won the title. The Beast, Brock Lesnar, due to COVID, Roman Reigns took some time off and said he would not be able to appear at day one, and that he actually tested positive for COVID. And if we know anything about Roman Reigns, there's a high chance that this could lead to Roman Reigns maybe not showing up to WrestleMania. I'm saying all the way till WrestleMania. If this COVID thing, this Omicron Transformer variant continues to grow and become an issue, there's a chance Roman might not come back for a good time being. Brock got put into the WWE Championship match with Big E, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Bobby Lashley. It did excite me a little bit because I wanted to see Lashley and Brock in the same ring. It's something I've wanted since like 2018 when Lashley beat Roman Reigns, and the next thing you know, somehow Reigns still fought Lesnar at SummerSlam when it should have been Bobby. But that was the thing I was excited for. I don't know why the entire time it never crossed my mind that Brock would actually win. I still thought that, Big E's going to retain, or Seth or Owens is going to go over. I didn't really think Lashley was going to win either, don't get me wrong, but I thought maybe Seth or Owens or Big E would retain. That's what I thought.
Wait a minute. You thought that Brock was getting added to the match just to be in the match. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, and it just didn't cross my mind. And I told you when we watched it yesterday when we were in Clubhouse, I was like, that spot where Big E put Lashley through the table, I'm like, you know what, man, like, it would be really fucking big. And like, restart and kind of ignite a fire back onto Big E's reign again if he beat these 4 guys. Because there's been a part for the last couple of months where Big E's reign kind of has fallen flat for me personally. It started off cool. He's a champion. He got to do a bunch of cool stuff media-wise and stuff. Like, he had a good reign, but the more serious he got, the less fun seemed like he was having, and some of the questionable booking decisions they had, like Roman coming to Raw and somehow ending Raw holding his head up on that's Big E's fucking show, made this reign kind of be like, man, they're really botching this fucking reign for me. And I thought, you know what, if you could beat these 4 guys, Big E's taking this belt to Mania. And I did say it myself. I thought about it after the fact. I'm like, they probably had to convince Brock, like, hey, if you want to be in this match instead, like, we're gonna make you win the title. We're going to swerve the fans. And Brock surprising the fans and doing things isn't nothing new. We ended the streak. He's beat people surprisingly. He beat Roman at WrestleMania 34 when everyone thought Roman was obviously going over. Like, that's the Brock thing to do. I'm not mad about Brock being champion, but I'm just really confused about what everyone else is going to do. And also what's going to happen if Roman comes back. What happens to the Paul Heyman storyline? What happens with the bloodline? Is Brock on Raw now? Is he feuding Lashley? Where do you guys stand with all of this? And what happens to Big E, Owens, and Seth?
I mean, for me, I was very much a huge advocate for Big E when he won his title, and how everyone was, consider him to be a goof or whatever and whatnot. And it just saddens me because it's like, I mean, I like Brock, but he's not someone that I would just say he's one of my somebody else just like defend and whatnot, because I mean it's Brock Lesnar. Like, if you hate that man, that's on you, and whatnot. But as far as Big E wise, like, I don't feel like he should have taken if he was gonna lose the title tonight, I don't feel like he should have been the one to take the pin. I don't think he should have, because now it kind of just feels like Brock Lesnar hates the New Day. Like, it just feels like he just hates the New Day. It's like Kofi Kingston all over again, except it's just other competitors in the ring. And it was actually the match, the ending felt really weird because it was 10 minutes left within the show that I felt like Big E could have kicked out or something, but it didn't turn out that way. And I'm just like, I was like, are you joking me right now? Because you gotta be kidding me to see Big E's like short-lived reign just kind of like just go down the drain. It does leave a lot of questions to, okay, well, what happens with Big E? Like, does he go back to at the back of the list or whatnot? I mean, Seth, he won the contract. It's supposed to be one-on-one. Now he got 30,000 other people getting added to a match. And it's like, well, what? This is supposed to be about me. And I mean, Kevin doesn't want to win another title. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter with him. But, I did say when Brock did got added to the match that I did want to see him and Bobby have a stare down at least, and
Lashley looked good against Brock, and they planted.
He did. He really did, and it made me feel like, okay, I would not be mad at this feud, but even just giving that stare down at the end when Bobby was standing outside the ring and Brock, had the title in his hand, he was kind of laughing and whatnot, and Bobby was kind of just staring at him. I was like, okay, I'm here for this, but then I'm like, does Big E get a rematch or something? Or what? Like, where does this? I mean, Brock is a free agent. He's able to float around everywhere. And then you gotta look at SmackDown. SmackDown lost Drew and Roman. So it's like, who's gonna be the next top star that they're gonna going to have on SmackDown?
And if Brock's not feuding Roman no more, who is?
Exactly.
Or are we doing this unification thing at WrestleMania that people are predicting where they do Brock versus Roman? Because you got to remember, and this is what I kept pointing out to Nikki yesterday in Clubhouse. I'm like, I kept thinking things like everybody was thinking like, oh, we're gonna get Lashley and Brock at WrestleMania, and oh, Bianca's coming after Becky now. But I was like, the thing that I hate about like modern day WWE is that like back in the day it was Royal Rumble, there was No Way Out or something, and then it was WrestleMania. We got like 3 pay-per-views before WrestleMania. We got Rumble, a Saudi show, probably a Fastlane or something. Like a lot of these matches that we think are going to happen at WrestleMania, like Bobby versus Brock could just happen at the Rumble or in Saudi. And then we could go to something else WrestleMania. Becky and Bianca can go at it again in Saudi or at Fastlane or something. By the time we get to WrestleMania, Oscar, Alexa Bliss, or Lacey or Bailey could return by then. Like there's so much. It shouldn't feel like there's so much time to WrestleMania, but the fact that they put so many pay-per-views in the middle, it feels like there's so much time to WrestleMania. Like everything's up in the air.
Well, we've also never had a day one. That's the thing. Like we've had a New Year's resolution. I think they've done some.
Well, they scrapped the December pay-per-view fully, so this technically was the December pay-per-view.
My thing is, and I just feel like, and I don't know if it's just because I had my Kevin Owens shirt on yesterday, but I really thought that Kevin Owens was going to take the pin, and I had no issue with that. I've always been a huge Brock Lesnar fan, even when he was in the UFC doing his other stuff. I've always been a very huge fan. I love someone who can come into an industry and come into a promotion and can disrupt everything. When he was holding the title hostage, I was a fan. I know a lot of people have PTSD and trauma when it comes to Brock Lesnar. However, for me, and this is just me, when everyone had John Cena, I felt like I had Brock. And the thing that trips me out the most is that, unfortunately, it was Big E that took the pin, but it does leave a lot of questions, Justin, like you said on Clubhouse yesterday. It's very confusing because why is the champion taking a pin in a 5? There's other competitors that easily could have took the pin in order for everyone to kind of be safe. And Kevin Owens was that person.
Kevin and Seth both could have taken that pin and they would have been fine. I wouldn't have wanted, because listen, this was Big.
I don't think Seth. I'm sorry about that one.
But Seth is a multiple-time world champion or a Rumble win. Like you can't hurt us. The Shield boys are bulletproof at the end of the fucking day, okay? Them Shield boys, you cannot fuck with them Shield boys. And Owens also was someone that the fans are going to stay behind regardless of. I'm not saying the fans are going to stay behind Big E, but don't let history fool you. We've seen people have their first ever title reigns and then fall back down the card. It's happened with Drew. It's happened with Kofi. It could potentially happen with Big E. It happened with Jinder, where it's like we thought they were getting this big thing, and the next time they have that title win, it's like, fuck yeah. Then they lose to Brock Lesnar or something. And then they're just out there backward somewhere in the mid card or something. Like we've seen it happen. Like it's a very, there's certain people that are very bulletproof. The Shield boys, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, that Kevin Owens, no matter what, like those should be. But I get a little bit worried in Big E's case. Meka, how do you feel?
Again, this is another subject that you don't want to know how I feel about, but the PC version is he shouldn't have taken the pin. And if people are complaining that his title reign was stale, what do you think they're going to do with him now? I don't like it. I think they did him a disservice. He worked hard crossing over into all kinds of different fields and making his presence known in boxing and college football and, and anything that he could, and really put a fresh face on the company as another champion. And so I hope that he doesn't drop back down to mid-card, but I really think we're going to see him back in the Intercontinental title picture. And I hate that for him. He worked really hard, and I hope they prove me wrong.
I just feel like when you saw that picture of him kind of sitting on the ground, after the match, it's just like, to me, it like I said, it does look sad. It does, but to me, as I look at it, if I'm like picturing in my head again, it feels like we might see a difference out of Big E come Monday. He's gonna have something to say about this. He has to. It's a must. He has to let those emotions out about how he feels about losing his title to someone who got put into the match. You know,
This
And
can't
to
be
play
this
devil's
can't be
advocate-
this can't be Kofi all over again. Because when Kofi lost, we never heard about it again, and that was the stupidest booking decision they
it
ever.
was.
Go on.
And to
Nikki.
play devil's advocate before we move on, the picture is very sad. However, we don't know if he's playing into the character or
Well,
if it's actually his real emotion. It feels real. It looks real. However, I do feel like it can be a piece of maybe kind of like how Bailey was, kind of like how Sasha was. We've seen moments where wrestlers have been taken in photo ops being very sad. And then the next moment, you know, it's just for the character. So that's the piece that I am very interested to see if that was a real emotion or was that a character.
And also, like, it'll always be a question, and maybe one day we'll find out when maybe Bruce Pritchard gets fired from WWE again or something, and is able to be honest on his podcast or something. We don't know what the original plans were. If it just remained a fatal four-way, like, we don't know. Like, it clearly changed either the day before or the day of, because I'm only saying the day before too, because they might have had a heads up from Roman, because they had a lot of video packages ready real quick. But what were the plans? Like, was Big E meant to retain? Was that the original plan? Because if that's the case, I could feel a little bit of genuine disappointment. Like, man, like, I get it, it's business, but man, if this fucking shit didn't happen, I would probably retained and we could have kept. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know like what the actual plans were prior to Brock being put in the match and Roman being taken out of the show. Like, there could have, and that even this really fucks with the long-term plans too, because who knows if Big E was going to carry this belt to WrestleMania or what was going to happen. Like, everything changed because Roman had to take a step out, and I feel like we're only talking about Big E, but maybe, like, we don't know, low key, maybe Seth and Owens were genuinely disappointed somewhere too a bit. Lashley was probably excited to get in there with Brock, because like Seth's fought Brock a plethora of times. He's probably over it. Owens has fought Brock a bunch of time at live shows. He's probably over it. Like, I'm not saying they dislike Brock, but I'm just saying, like, they're like, this was supposed to be their match, the four of them, their moment. And let's be honest, it became about Brock. Not that everyone else didn't shine at some point. They all had a moment to shine. But at the end of the day, it became about Brock. And that kind of sucks. But I'm a Brock fan, and I think Brock's an attraction. But I always say the one thing, and I'll say it again, is that I also think Brock never really needs a title because he's an attraction with or without that title. And I understand why he signed and why he shows up. But sometimes when he's a champion, I'm like, this is unnecessary, but we're in WrestleMania season, so it's fair. And it's a weird WrestleMania season. Liv and Becky. Mika,
Put your number
side.
fours.
Mika side, Liv and Becky. How do you feel about this match?
I'm going to go because I'm going to be... Oh.
No, go ahead, Nikki. I'm just saying I'm glad it's over. Go ahead,
No,
Nikki.
I was gonna be short too. Like, I just want everybody to put their fours in the air. If you're listening right now, put your fours in the air. Shout out to the most dominating women's faction ever. I don't care. I said it. I don't care. I don't care.
They're in the head of what Justin's about to say. They're not really a faction, but
I don't care about your opinion. I don't care about what you got to say about the four. I don't care about that. Becky wins, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to be really short because I've been literally on Liv Morgan as a character for months. I'm just going to say this. Thank you for wasting my time. Thank you for making her fans really think that y'all were going to give her a chance. Thank you for the fake photos and the fake messages from other women in the division. Thank you for everything that I said that was going to come to pass came to pass. And I've been saying that. I know I'm going to be quoted on it every time. Everyone doesn't deserve to be a champion. And as harsh as that sounds, I'm going to leave with this, and I'm going to land my plane with this. I wish that those fans that were pleading and crying and begging for her to have her moment, I really wish that they would have put that same energy into making sure that the development for the character and the in-ring ability was there before she faced one of the four dominating women in women's wrestling in WWE history.
She had her moment. This was her moment. This was her time. This might be the peak of Liv Morgan's career. I don't know. Maybe she'll get another opportunity in the future, but at least she had this moment to bounce back and be like, at least she got to challenge for the championship. She wasn't successful. I do think she did a lot better in the second match than the first match. Was there still some flaws for sure? But there was some moments like that sunset flip power bomb from the corner, and she actually hit the suicide dive properly. Like, she is shown some sort of improvement, but at that point, like, this wasn't the time for her to win the championship. This wasn't, and it's WrestleMania season. Don't get me wrong. I was someone that said, they could just let her win and have her lose it next month because it's goddamn 3 pay-per-views to WrestleMania, but they don't need to, and we can move back to what we're heading towards. And it seems like, because Bianca wasn't even on the show, but they had a video package for her as they tried to fill time with video packages because they lost a full main event. Maybe Bianca is next, but the thing that bothers me about that is I kind of would be down for Bianca and Becky at Mania, and we have 3 pay-per-views plus a Rumble, which we could be surprised with returns before WrestleMania. Do you guys think it's Bianca and Becky at WrestleMania, or are we going to get it beforehand? Or do you guys think, to Nikki's point, actually, she made yesterday, that Bianca could just beat Becky before WrestleMania and walk in WrestleMania as a champion? Where do you guys stand?
I think that could be possible. It could. And I mean, yeah, we have 3 pay-per-views that I probably don't even know nothing about. Because I'm only focused on the main one, which is Royal Rumble, because those other ones are just fillers. I mean, we're gonna have some big returns coming. And my bet is I'm wanting Bayley to come back to the Rumble and win. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Bianca would hold the title, or if she's not, then maybe Becky is still holding the title, and we get a feud between Bayley and Becky, something we never really had. You know what I'm saying? And they're both in 2 different eras of their own characters that I feel like it could lead to WrestleMania and actually be something like really, really good. But I would love to see, I don't want to see Bianca left off another pay-per-view at all whatsoever when she's been on like every single last one of them last year. There's no way she should have been left off of day one. She could have been easily put into this triple threat match or made it a triple threat match or something. She could have been doing something, but I mean, hey, when she did her interview on the bump, I mean,
she made it very clear.
She made it clear like she wants to be the one to take that title off Becky, but good luck, Liv. She wanted to be that person to take it off her. And I mean, Bianca still got to get her revenge from Becky. She does have to avenge herself. She does. But honestly, with the whole Becky and Liv match, I'm not a fan of either of these women. However, I will say that their match last night, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. There were a lot of botches. But there was some type of improvement and whatnot. I wish Liv would have stopped screaming and Becky stopped huffing and puffing every time Liv kick out. Like, what the fuck is that? Why are you always acting like you having a stroke or something when Liv fucking kicks out and shit? They should be fucking annoying me. She do that in every goddamn match. We're fucking relaxed. You're like you beating like a goddamn Charlotte Flair or some shit. You over here fucking free huffing and puffing and shit. Relax.
It did feel like they botched the finish a bit too, because I feel like Liv was too far away from the ropes, and it seemed as if Becky's was gonna cheat again, trying to put her foot on. Like, I don't know if it was intentional, like she thought about it and then she was too far and she'd F it anyways, or she was supposed to and it just didn't work because they were too far.
I think she probably forgot that she was supposed to put her leg on the rope. However,
no, she knew because she looked back and she tried, but it wouldn't reach the rope.
But I don't agree, because I feel like all that went as
clean.
Like, I feel like that all went as planned. She literally looked back like, I could cheat, but I don't have to.
But the thing is
that did, and if that's not the plan, in my opinion, it did look like when 2 hit, she looks back and it's almost like she's like, I can cheat, but I ain't got to. So let me just get my clean victory. That's how.
When she tried to put her leg on the rope, Aja had already hit 3. So now you can't say that Becky beat you by cheating. She won clean. It's a legal pin. So now you can't use that as an excuse to get another rematch. You know what I'm saying? Liv went out there, she did the best that she could. You know what I'm saying? She did her best. And it's just that. Now Becky can continue to go on and say how she beat Liv for the 3rd time, didn't have to cheat or anything. You keep it moving. Who's coming out next? Rhea, bring your ass out. Okay. Bring Rhea. Come on, Rhea. Bring your ass on out now.
And we got Oscar on the shelf. We got Lacey on the shelf. We got Alexa on the shelf. We got Bailey on the shelf.
Oscar.
I know that for sure somebody's got to go to SmackDown because they took a blow losing Tony. I hope it's not Bailey because I went on a whole rant yesterday, as Nikki knows, about me not liking Bailey and Sasha on the same brand together. I'm sick and tired of it. Bailey made Sasha's career suck for like 2 years. And I'm down for Bailey and Becky. We've never seen it before. Maybe Asuka can go to SmackDown. That'd be a good little mix. We can get a little bit of that again, but there's so many options. It's interesting to see where that goes. I'm personally intrigued to see what happens with Liv next. I don't think she's going to be in a title picture, but does she just fall down the card? Does she manage to stay relevant? Only time will tell. The Usos and the New Day put on a banger. RK Bro came out with the Migos. That shit was cool. Throwback to the Migos being. And listen, man, I can tell you right now, this goes for a lot of my friends too that don't even watch wrestling that much anymore. Everybody in the fucking world fucks with Randy Orton. I don't know why, but everyone just fucking likes Randy Orton. And I know those guys fucking like Randy Orton too, and probably like play RKOing each other on their tour buses and shit. Okay, everybody fucking loves Randy Orton. That's the fucking thing. So it made sense that they came out with Randall, and that was probably like a dream for them and shit. Like, I have a lot of friends that are like older now in their 30s and shit too that don't watch wrestling anymore, but they're like fucking Randy Orton and shit doing the pose. But like fucking, so that was all super dope to see. Then the Street Profits and RK Bro a banger match too. But I didn't want to like really get into that stuff because I think the last really big thing to really talk about that really didn't hit with me that much, but I guess was a big deal, was Beth Phoenix came back looking like Luna Vachon and helping Edge aid against the Miz and Maurice. I'm just saying I don't think it was a big deal to me because I just haven't been invested in this feud at all generally. Like, I didn't even really care about the match. I like all the people. I like Beth. I like Edge. I like Miz. I like Maurice. I like all the people. I don't know. It's because I haven't been watching WWE properly for the last 2.5 weeks, but like,
But the feud has been very short though. Like, the build-up has been short, and this is
and
not
expected.
It's not
very expected.
It was predictable.
Very much. I mean, how are you going to have one of the greatest Divas champions of all time, Maurice, and not have one of the biggest powerhouses that held the Divas championship, Beth Phoenix?
And those two crossed paths in the past too. And
yeah.
And like, it was almost inevitable when Beth said she was leaving NXT. We're like, oh, who's taking care of the kids? Who's taking care of both of their kids?
They have people.
Seth is taking care of
they're fine.
Seth is out there taking care of the kids. Okay, they probably drawing him a crayon picture painting right now.
A good little portrait.
And got him an apple that he didn't wash.
Just hanging out at Edge's house. I know they're gonna have obviously the tag match eventually and stuff, and I hope it happens before WrestleMania, whether it's a Rumble or it's in Saudi if they're going to Saudi again, or if it's up Fastlane, because there's still a part of me that wants Edge and AJ Styles at WrestleMania. I still think because of the way that WWE is now, it's really hard to predict the WrestleMania card, even at this point, where in past years it was really easy because there's so much that happens in just these 2 months now compared to like years before. And I know a lot of us started jumping to conclusions, like I said earlier yesterday, like it's going to be Bobby and Brock and it's going to be Bianca and Becky. And I'm just like, it's fucking hard to tell.
Bobby and Brock needs to happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it really
I don't
does.
want it to happen at a Saudi show.
I don't think it's hard to tell with the women. I think what it really is it's all about who's going to be the champion. So
and who's going to come
Becky
back?
Is the champion, or who comes back, or Bianca. We all know, and we can say this for sure. No matter what, Bianca's going to be on WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's evident. Being off of day one, and Santana, I know, I get your point, but let me just say this. She was also off the card with two of the most dominating women in wrestling, Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair. So sitting off of day one, she was really in the winner's circle, if we're going to be honest. And I know those three women probably are never going to be left off of. Charlotte had her time last year being left off. Mm-hmm. And I know this year is probably going to be a big moment for her. Personally, for me, I don't necessarily want to see Becky and Bianca, but more so maybe we can throw Bailey in the mix. That would be nice.
I mean, Bailey versus Becky versus Bianca in a triple threat where
The
Bianca stands
BBB.
tall is like.
Bianca needs to run through the 4, and then she needs to run right back.
Because then the last person
plus
left,
the block.
really, the last person left for her to really beat will be the Queen, because she's beat Sasha. She can beat Becky and Bailey in one night, and then boom.
But they're already saying that she beat Charlotte though, but not in a way where it was like how she beat Bianca, well, how she beat Sasha and how she beat Bailey. You know what I'm saying? She still has to beat Becky. You know.
Where do you think Bianca's gonna be doing by WrestleMania, Mika?
I want to be a heel.
I think we talked about this yesterday just a little bit before I fell asleep. So I agree with Nikki. She will be at WrestleMania in one capacity or another. We don't know if she'll be champion by then, and not in the Rumble, or if she'll win the Rumble, or if she'll just be on the card. Maybe her and Bailey, because they have unfinished business with the I Quit match that never happened. But there's no leaving Bianca out of anything at this point.
Nope.
So I just hope that whatever it is, they give it a chance to flesh out. But it's time for her to get her revenge on Becky for that 26 seconds of foolishness that we had to endure at SummerSlam. It is time. It is time to get her revenge, and it's past time. So
yeah, they gave it a little break, and it's time to revisit it. I still personally think that the boss, the blueprint, the standard, the conversation, the GOAT, the Mandalorian DDTing, legit boss Sasha Banks is going to win the Rumble and face Charlotte at WrestleMania. That's the only bold prediction I'm going to stick with, but everything else is up in the air. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to add about day one, or like?
I want to see Naomi in the title picture.
Fair?
I do. Naomi she's definitely been left out on a lot of different things lately. And I hope that this year, starting off, this could be something significant for her. We already know she's going to do some amazing spot in the Royal Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Like it never fails. Like she gets the biggest pops whenever she comes out. There's no denying that. And so I'm ready for her to drop this shit with Sonya and move over into a title opportunity some type of way. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, last night, we ended up watching a bunch of matches. I think we watched Becky and Bianca from Extreme Rules, because I never really watched that show because I was in California, so I want to watch that match because we talked about the idea of Becky and Bianca going in, and I'm like, I heard that was a really good match, but I never watched it. So we watched it last night, which led us to somehow watch, I think it was Carmella versus
Carmella matches.
Backlash. We watched Carmella versus Charlotte at Backlash. That also led us to watch Carmella versus Bailey on February 14, 2020, because I was there live for that match, which led us to watch the week after, where she fought Naomi. That was the point I was getting to with my long intro. And Nikki can vouch. I was like, holy shit, like, why does Naomi not get the appreciation she deserves? Because not only did she win the match, she was doing shit in that match, because I never watched that match either, because once again, I was back in California when that match took place that week. And I was like, yo, this was a fucking good match. And like, she's doing, like, if I was a fucking kid watching wrestling, I would be a Naomi fucking fan, because she's like doing springboards and crazy kicks. And like, I'm like, yo, like, I would want to play with her in the video game. Like, she has a cool moveset and shit.
She did like a spiral jump out of the ring. It was sick. It was so sick. Like, I honestly, I had watched the match, but it was good to go back. I do agree with Naomi. If I had to say anything about day one, I'll just say this. I know a lot of people out there, and I know there's some listeners out there that are probably wondering what's next for Liv Morgan. And I'm here to tell you, absolutely nothing. My prediction. Yeah, I just saw it. Absolutely nothing. I think
wondering that.
No, everyone is. Trust me.
No, they're not.
No, they are.
People were like, "Girl, you knew that you was not going out there to win that match."
No, they felt it.
They thrashed
her. I do think she's gonna enter the Royal Rumble, and I think they're gonna tease her winning again. And I think that my prediction for the Royal Rumble is Bailey. I do have to agree with Santana. I would love for it to be Sasha. I just think Sasha's in a very pivotal moment right now that let's let someone on Raw win so that way we can get what we want, and that's Sasha and Charlotte at WrestleMania. I don't care. I don't want to see anything else. I don't care what goes on. I know Bianca's going to be a part of the show. I know other people are going to be a part of the show. I don't care. If I want Sasha and Charlotte. I think it's been over. It's people think that this match they've been feuding since the last time they've been feuding, but honestly, like, I really would love to see them be able to get their moment. And main event night one, and I'm calling it now, Sasha and Charlotte main eventing night one, WrestleMania.
I mean, anything is possible. I want it. And listen, I guess, Sasha doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble. I just want her to, because you can get to Sasha Charlotte without her winning the Rumble anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But I want that as well, too. But there needs to be more creative ways to get some of these women on this card, because as of right now, I can only think about the 2 championship matches. I don't want to just see a battle royal or something. Last year, they did a really good job with the little tag team gauntlet, and the next night with the tag titles. And the year before that, they did have multiple matches on the show. Like, I think Mandy and Sonya had a match and all this other stuff too. But I'm looking forward to it. That all being said, I think that's it. I appreciate you guys coming on. Guys, you can find all of these women on Women's Wrestling Talk. You can find the Meka writing articles. You can find Nikki's articles, Santana's articles. They do a bunch of hosting and stuff too if you follow their YouTube channel. Make sure you follow them on Instagram and Twitter. They're always keeping you posted and updated on women's wrestling. And if you guys want to plug anything right now, you really quickly can. No?
I mean, Hard to Kill. We're in the week of Hard to Kill right now. We have a huge match between 4-time Knockouts champion, none other than Hardcore Country, Mickie James.
Hardcore
Country versus none other than the virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo at Hard to Kill, Dallas, Texas, live at the Factory. It's going down in a Texas death match. We also, let's not forget, first ever Ultimate X match for the women. We have Lady Frost, Chelsea Green, Rachel Ellering. We have Jordan Grace, Tasha Steelz, and we also have none other than Rosemary in the building. Then we also, I'm not trying to, let's not waste too much time. But we also have a tag team match for the Knockouts World Tag Team Championships this Saturday between the Inspiration and the Influence. So there's a lot of going going on.
Women's wrestling is thriving in
Impact
Wrestling right now. Guys, I didn't do a year-end award show this or any of that, but if you guys go check that hashtag show on YouTube on THS Wrestling, we did a year-end award show together. We put out a bunch of categories for people to vote, and people did vote, and then we gave our opinions and told you guys the winners. Some funny shit on there, talking about some funny stuff, pissed off a few people like I usually do. And it was a good time. So you guys go check that out. Also, guys, 1:37 p.m. I worked with Elton of 1:37 p.m. as well. We went through our top 20 favorite matches of 2021. I don't necessarily think the order is correct, but those are 20 matches that really stood out to us, as well as the honorable mentions. I'm just saying, if you're looking at the order, don't take the order too seriously. It's almost accurate, but there was something, if I wrote it by myself, I probably would have changed. That being said, check that out, guys. And all the links in my bio, you guys know where to find me. Follow me on TikTok, guys. I'm at 14.3K. We're moving up in the world. And I still suck on Twitter, so follow me at TWC Worldwide on Twitter. But other than that, guys, keep doing the thing. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you all next time. Yeah, Happy New Year 2022. We'll see what it brings. Ooh.